Hi guys, welcome to another section of Vibing with Lady VAR, the football detective. And today I'm going to be having a very interactive section with a die-hard Liverpool fan. He has a shirt signed by Iron Rush and Robbie Fowler, and he has met with Jurgen Klopp. He actually shook hands with Jurgen Klopp, the current Liverpool coach. So his name is Eniola. He's going to be telling us a lot about himself and the club when he comes online. We're going to be looking at the Premier League table, and we're going to be focusing on Liverpool because their performance lately, like they've been having a bad season. They are out of all the competitions, and currently they're struggling to make top four, the defending champions of EPL, struggling to make top four. Like, there's 3 games played already, and 5 more games to go. And they are currently sixth on the table. Well, it's agreed they've been having lots of challenges, following injury of most of their defenders, and we saw the midfield coming to play defense, and it wasn't actually good for the midfield because it was actually open, and it caused. Do you think Liverpool still stand a chance to make top four? Well, I wouldn't know. What do you think Klopp and his boys need to change to implement against next season so they can go back to the former Liverpool we used to know? The signings, if it was actually a good one or not. The They need to actually sign players, defenders, especially. And I think most of the players have been they're tired, they're weary. They've been used repeatedly over and over again, and he's beginning to tell on the team. Liverpool signed Diego Jota and Thiago Alcantara, and everybody quite agreed that Diego Jota because he came on board and he was performing like he was scoring goals and you know bringing what people love to see. But then that is not the same for Thiago Alcantara. Most people think he's not actually the signing that was expected. And for me personally, I think it's because he's not been opportune to work with the right um people. At some point the midfielders had to play defense. So I think if he was actually working with the people he was supposed to work with, he actually produced better results. And most people were like, he hasn't scored a goal or since his signing, and it's actually more not like Thiago Alcantara we used. So let's meet my guest. He goes by the name Eniola.
Hello,
Hi, how
how's it
you doing?
going?
Fine.
Good,
How is it over there?
good, good.
Okay, so I already told my audience about you, and you're already putting on your shirt.
Always,
so
always
so
gotta represent.
oh, you're a diehard fan then.
Leave and breathe.
Okay, so maybe just tell us a little about yourself. Just anything.
My name is Annie. Well, I probably should say Eniola. My name is Eniola.
Okay.
Um, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Um, I've been playing soccer pretty much all of my life. I've been watching LFC for close to 20, 22 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, about
Interesting.
22, 23 years I've been watching LFC. Um, I love soccer. I love everything about it. I played soccer semi-pro here. I played in college. Yeah, that's. I have 2 kids. Married with 2 kids, a boy and a girl.
Ah.
Um, Still trying to get them to love the game, but we'll see how that goes.
Okay. So hope they actually turn out to be Liverpool fans.
Well, that's the plan. Their mom is a Chelsea fan, so we'll see how that goes.
Wow.
Um, their mom is a
Okay.
Chelsea fan, so we try to not push them towards anything for now. Let them decide what they want to do. And then
Oh.
wherever they want to do, it's fine. Even well, I'll do my best to make sure they go red. But if not, it's okay. They can choose as long as they're not United fans. So I'm good.
Oh, really?
Oh, as long as they're not United fan, I'm good. They can be Leicester City. They can be Chelsea, but they can be Arsenal or United fan. That's the only
Why?
exception.
Why is that?
Because we hate United. That's obvious. We hate
Oh, really?
United. And Arsenal, I mean, they're irrelevant. They just like to make a lot of noise, and their fans are terrible. So we can't allow that. No, not in this house.
And you don't think that about Chelsea fans?
I mean, that's okay. I mean, everybody has bad fans. Even Liverpool, we have bad fans. But there are levels. There are fans, and then there are uh enthusiasts of sports. They just love the idea of, they're fair weather fans, bandwagon. They follow a player. Like some people are stuck with Arsenal because they were Kanu fans, Marco Kanu fans, and now
Oh,
that
yeah.
he left Arsenal, they can't leave Arsenal. It's they're stuck. They now say they're Arsenal fan. No, you're not. You're a Kanu fan. It's not. You're not an Arsenal fan. It's the same thing with other clubs where they just like Ronaldo, they follow him everywhere. They don't really. So there are
Messi
those
as
kind of
well.
fans, and there are fans like us where we've been through people with no names. We've been through all of it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm one of those.
Okay, so you just said you've been supporting Liverpool for like 22 years.
Yes, just about.
Okay. So who is your favorite Liverpool player?
That's tough because
Past, present, anyone at all?
um well, I didn't I even when I was supporting back then, I didn't watch a lot of games. I always usually just it wasn't until when YouTube came out in 2005, I think, was when I started catching up on other games, but watching the names that I've heard about, the names that I've always wanted to see their games, and I watch their games. But it's hard to say. It's hard to not say Gerard. It's hard to not say Gerard, but is the reason why. Is one of the reasons why I play the position that I play in soccer, and it's one of the reasons why it brings something entirely different to a football team. Aside from the
Yeah.
leadership, aside from he's one of those. I don't want to say everyone is who they are, and they're just a part of the team as individuals. So but Gerard was Liverpool. That's Mr. Liverpool right there. It's hard to pick him. It's hard to see a Liverpool without Gerard. It was even up until recently. It's you could tell that his impact was felt.
Okay, so your favorite is Gerrard.
I'd have to say so. Yeah, I'd have to say Gerard. Yeah,
Oh, okay, so this present Liverpool squad, who is your favorite?
Firmino.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Firmino. Why
his name is on the
Firmino?
back of this shirt. If I could turn around, but that's my favorite player right now. Yeah, in the past couple of years, actually, it's Firmino. Yeah, not a popular opinion, but it's
Yeah.
okay. I understand why people would not
I was
make that a
expecting you to
popular
say
opinion.
Salah or Mane or you know.
There when you watch a game, there are some players that when they're not playing, even if they're in terrible form, there are some players that if they're not playing, you would know. Firmino was one of those guys where Mane and Salah, I feel they would not be who they are for us without Firmino.
Without
I
Firmino,
feel
yeah.
like, especially the last couple of years before the pandemic, and he's Brazilian, so he's a flair player. I think it thrives on the crowd. It's no surprise that now that there's no crowd, his form has dipped a lot. He likes to entertain. The flare passes, the flare dribbling, the no look goals, those kind of things. He uses it to entertain. But when you take that part of out of football, it kind of affects your form a little bit. And just like we were when we were growing up in Nigeria, when we play games in the streets, you have local people come and watch you from like when you were a kid. They will watch you, especially if you're good. People will say your name. Oh wow, that boy is good. That boy is good. They will come to watch you. I have a feeling that was the kind of kid he was too growing up. In Brazil, he grew up in the favelas in Brazil. I feel like he was one of those guys that people love to come to watch. And so he's been a crowd player from when he was a kid. So now when there's no crowd, I think that kind of affected his form. And it's no surprise that, you know, when we had the crowd back last year, sometime last year, when they brought 2,000 people back into the stands, he started scoring. That was no surprise. He had that goal against Spurs, and he ran straight to the cup to celebrate. And the game was different. And then the 7-0 game when we played, we had the crowd in that game as well. That was shortly before Christmas. So, and then when they said no more crowds, his form dipped again. So I feel like he's one of those guys that he plays to please the crowd. So I'm not surprised that his form has dipped. And if it picks up next season, then my theory is right.
Okay, sounds interesting. So I forgot to ask, like, what was your attraction to Liverpool? Any particular attraction?
Um, it was so there are some schools where they say this is a poor man's Harvard, or yeah. So well, there's a school here at my school. They would say it's a poor man's Harvard, meaning it's got everything that Harvard has except the popularity. That was what Liverpool was, and not popularity in terms of you know everybody knows Harvard, right? Everybody knows
Yeah,
Yale. Everybody knows Columbia. Those kind of schools, but
of
there are some
course. Yeah.
schools that are better than those universities, but nobody really know them, right? That was what Liverpool was. They were better at every category. They were the best team in England. They were they were better in every category. But people still think, oh, it's Cousers. They're just Cousers, and But at the time that I started watching football, it was I started watching Liverpool. Everything was just different. Everything about it attracts you. Um, so when players sign for us and they say that, there's something about that football club, I understand what they're saying. When opposition fans come to Anfield and they play, they say there's something about that stadium. There's something about the way they do things over there. That kind of thing is very attractive. They can some players can't explain it. Some managers can't explain it. Pep Guardiola a couple of years ago said he hated playing at Anfield.
Yeah.
Of all grounds, he said he hated Anfield, and I don't think it's just Anfield. I think it's just the atmosphere. I think it's the people, the attraction of football. That's not just off the field, but that's not just on the field, but off the field as well. The way we play football, when we're click, we're one of the best teams in the world. Um, and I try to, model the way I play, the way I interact with my teammates. I try to model it after Liverpool's ethos, because there's something about it. It's just you can't really put it into words. There's something about that club that just attracts you as. And then the anthem. Not. I don't think any club in England has that kind of anthem. I don't think any club in England feels an attachment to that kind of anthem. Tomorrow now we're preparing for a big game. I can only imagine if there were crowds. It's just
Yeah.
you look forward to that opening 5 minutes, because you know that it's going to be hell. After that anthem has been sung and the kickoff, you know that there's something that there's something to watch. There's some teams that will play, like when City plays, you kind of expect the result. Yeah, when they lose, that's when it's like that's not normal. But you expect them to win. But for Liverpool, you don't know what to expect, and that excitement. Well, especially in the last few weeks, we never know what to expect. We could be balling, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden we draw, we lose. But there's something about it that just attracts you, and I'm not. I can't put a name to it, or I can't say this is exactly what it is. But there's something about it.
Okay, so let's talk about the team. So presently, Liverpool is sixth on the table, and they are out of all the competitions and struggling to make top four. So what do you have to say about that?
Um, I'm not surprised. I'm not. I'm not surprised at all, because right before the end of last season, I saw a problem. I saw an issue coming up, and I know that it's going to be an issue. I posted on our group, on one of the LSC fan group that I was, right before we opened back up, and then right after we opened back up, the few games that we played leading to the PL Championship. I saw an issue. I don't know if it's arrogance, from Klopp. I don't know if it's comfortability. I don't know if he was just trying to see something. I wasn't sure what it was then. I realized that we were playing really high, and we were playing with the audacity of nobody can get behind us. We were playing with
Yeah.
that audacity that we were playing really high. So, and I mentioned it then. I said, I'm not even worried about Salah. I'm not worried about anybody else. I'm not worried about Ghost. I'm really worried about that high line. And lo and behold, I think it was the Arsenal game. Yeah, it was the Arsenal game. Even though Alisson had a blunder, and that happened, but they constantly kept feeding the ball to Aubameyang. They just look it over. They would just look it over, and I'm like, this line is really high. And we had Van Dijk, we had Gomez, we had Matip, we had everybody healthy at that time. So I realized that that's going to be a problem. I mentioned it, but I'm like, you know what? We're going to win the EPL. I'm not really concerned about it. Hopefully, we fix it in the season when the season starts. But unfortunately, the season started. We lost Van Dijk, which changed everything. And then, we were doing okay, and then we lost Gomez. Again, that changed everything. But we're doing all right. We were still within. We were still up there, and then we lost Matip, and then we lost Fabinho, and then we lost Henderson,
Yeah.
and then we lost well Jota, Diogo Jota.
Yeah.
So we lost these players in key positions that even though the tactics and the style of play is the same, but the personnel to execute those plays were missing. Um, last year, 2 years ago, when we were flying, we had two plays: ball from the back line to Salah or Mane, drop it right there, they do the rest. Ball over, they do the
Yeah.
rest. Ball to the side to Robertson and to Trent,
I know.
they drive up, they do the rest. We were confident with the fact that between Gomez and Van Dijk, nobody can beat us in the back line. And we had every reason to, because we nearly went undefeated with that back line, with that lineup. So, but when you take out those key players and you replace them with Henderson in the back, and you put Fabinho there as well, and they get injured, and then you put Phillips and before we got Kabak, you put
Back.
Phillips
Yeah.
and Rhys Williams, and then there was a game we played against United. I think that Rhys Williams got beat on the sideline. It was just he could not keep up. So then that was when we had to use Henderson. And then when you take those key players out, necessarily you kind of have to, when you take those key players out and put them where they don't belong, even though the tactics is still the same, you still try to play the same way, you still try to do things the same way, it's just not going to work. So I don't fault the position that I think we deserve where we are, especially with the way we've been playing the past few months. I'm not going to say, well, VAR this, referee this, all of that. That's part of football. That would happen. But when you have a chance to take care of your own business, you take care of it and you move on. So I'm not surprised at all. But I'm confident that once we have these key players back and they're healthy, which is the key part, everything will sort itself back again. I think we're going to see I believe that we're going to see the same squad that we saw, the same team we saw a couple of years ago, and especially last season, early on in last season. So we deserve it. We deserve it. We need to just take that on the chin and just move on.
Okay, so you're saying their position is not just as a result of Van Dijk getting injured.
No,
The
it's not just Van Dijk, and other teams, other fans will try to banter and say, "Oh,
Yeah.
everything that's wrong with Liverpool
Yeah.
is because Van Dijk is out." No, it's
Yeah.
they don't
Exactly.
understand that Van Dijk being out early on in the season was about 60% of our problem, because then we don't have, first of all, we don't have the big tall figure that can clear headers out in the box on both hands, right? So if you have a guy like Van Dijk that's clearing the headers from opponents, and you get the corner kick on the other side, it's a threat to score, which he was scoring a lot of goals. Well, not a lot, but for a defender, a lot. And then you have Henderson, that's pretty much the engine of the squad. I
Yeah.
love Henderson. He's not a very tactical player, but he does his role perfectly, right? He's what United think Pogba should be, right? Without the goals, he drives the team. He's everywhere. He's very vocal. He's a leader, right? So when you take that out and you put Gini Wijnaldum, well, who is the role player? Gini is not a bad player, but he's a role player. A role player depends on somebody else. A role player listens to somebody else. That person was Henderson. You take him out, and then Fabinho, who is the number six, probably the best number. I shouldn't be biased. Maybe the second best number six in the league,
Yeah, among the
right?
best. Yeah,
Not
sure.
the best, but second best for sure. I
Yeah,
think I don't want to mention the name of the team that has the second that had the best number six in the
the
world.
best.
Yeah, I'm not gonna mention it because I can't stand that team. But
Okay.
I would say second best number six in the world, right? He commands that back line. He commands that back line. So when you take him out as well, and you put Thiago, who is just off of injury, and his play style. If you watch Bayern, I've been watching Thiago for the past 4 or 5 years. I've been watching Thiago Alcantara play. He plays on the pivot. He plays with another DM, right? So he can't be a single number six. He has to play with a DM. So if you notice that when him and Fabinho were playing in the middle, our game was completely different, right? So when you take that out and you take Jota, who came in banging, he came in banging. He was out for 3 months, and then Firmino is out of form. So it's not just Van Dijk anymore. And right now, our problem is not even defense. Our problem is not defense anymore. Our problem has never been defense. Even when Gomez went down, our problem is finishing goals, creating chances. Even the chances that we create, the chances that we created, we're not finishing. So our problem is
Yeah.
not defense anymore. So I can't even use Van Dijk as an excuse anymore, right? So, but when you now have the games like last weekend, when I mean, come on, 20 seconds, less than 10 seconds, you just have to hold on to the ball or commit a foul or something. A leader will do that. I feel like an Henderson, the type of person, will let them know that, hey, the game is about to be over. Do what you got to do, end the game, right? So, and that's been the situation for the past 3 months. So I don't think it doesn't come down to Van Dijk, but banter, they will say, yeah, it's because Van Dijk is out. They're blaming it all on Van
Yeah.
Dijk. Yeah, sure, we can blame it all on Van Dijk, but we know that it's not just Van Dijk because we just can't finish. We can't create chances like we used to.
Okay, so talking about Thiago, most people think it's not the signing they expected to see. Like, and you just mentioned it's not been playing with the perfect pair, and I agree with that as well. So, do you think his signing was actually a good one?
Absolutely. I was happy. I was ecstatic when we got Thiago. Um, there was I don't know if you watched the Barcelona versus Bayern Munich game last season when they beat them 8-2. That game
Yeah.
is the perfect Thiago Alcantara's game. If you watch everything that he was doing in that game, he was commanding and dictating the tempo. Barcelona they're not scrubs. They have one of the best midfielders, two of the best midfielders in the game in La Liga. And they have the two best midfielders, and then they have Messi, right? But Thiago on that field, on that particular day, is exactly what we needed in Liverpool. He was everywhere. He was commanding. The passing was crisp. And then the games that they played against Arsenal when they won 5-1, I think a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, they won 5-1. And then the second leg, they won 5-1, as I think 5-1 as well. He was exceptional. And he was playing in the two pivot. All right. He was playing in the two pivot back 4-2, 4-2-3-1 because they had Lewandowski up top and they had Ribéry and Robben either side, and they had Lewandowski and they had him behind. So anytime that Thiago goes up, everybody else they know exactly what to expect. So when I look at Anderson and I see, even though they're about the same age, the tactical ability that Anderson doesn't have, Thiago has it. Doesn't have the man might not have the speed, might not have the drive, but if you can with time, I feel like he would adapt to that. But if we can get the tactical ability of Thiago, and we've been seeing it lately when he's healthy and he had the right pair. When Fabinho was there, we saw exactly what he could do. So I'm still very, very optimistic about that signing. I feel like once we have, again, it just goes back to the guys that are missing. Once we have those guys back, Van Dijk will be able to push people up. Like, look, get up, I got this. He'll be able to command that back line, and Thiago will be able to do what he wants to do. right? It will literally have a free roam because it will be the loose man in the middle if we play a two pivot with Fabinho and either Fabinho and Thiago or Fabinho and Henderson or Henderson and Thiago or Henderson and Fabinho. Either one of those pair, I feel like we will be able to see exactly what we paid for, and I'm really excited that we got him. Still is.
Yeah, and he'll be able to score his first goal for
Hopefully,
Liverpool.
and I'm hoping that it'll be in front of the cup when the hopefully this season. But I'm really not too optimistic about this season. I just want to get through this year. I'm tired mentally. I'm just done. I just want to get through this season,
Oh,
start afresh, and
yeah.
hopefully when the crowd gets back, because man, it's unbelievable how much difference. I feel like we, and I'm saying this with all bias and everything. I feel like we're the one that's suffering the most with our fans because the things that
Yeah.
never happened at Anfield are happening. That's just not that's unusual. So I feel like once the fans get back, things are gonna go back to normal, and we'll see exactly the kind of team that we have going forward.
Okay. So, do you think Liverpool still stand a chance to make top four, or you've given up already?
Um, when you support Liverpool, nothing is over until it's over.
Oh,
That's one of the things that you have to adapt your mind to.
yeah.
So even though I feel if I take myself out of Liverpool, I feel like it's almost impossible, especially if we don't get 3 points tomorrow. Um, but Chelsea still have to play United. I think they still have to play Leicester. Um, so
Yeah.
I feel like they just as long as Chelsea keep doing what they're doing, we're not gonna make it. Um, the most we can get is fifth, which is Europa, which is still okay. I mean, I would rather play Europa than not play Europe at all. Um, but the the not so biased fan inside me wants us to miss Europe completely. Um, and the reason is if we don't have to play any kind of European competition next season, these guys can rest. We will get a fresh team every week and we can actually go for the local cups. We can go for FA. We can go for Carling. And I have a feeling that, and I'm making a prediction now on your show for the first time. I feel like we're going to win the PL next season.
Oh. Well, let's see how it goes. So let's
Hmm.
talk about the squad depth. Now, one advantage City has over other teams is actually the squad depth, such that when one player goes on injury, the replacement is just as good
That's
as the
good.
one that left. Yeah. So I think that was one of the things that actually affected Liverpool a lot because most of the players that went on injury, there were no perfect replacement for them.
Yeah.
So you have to say about that. What do you think about that? The squad depth of Liverpool. Do you think Klopp needs to sign more players? Which players does he need to sign
I
and all
think it
that?
will. I think we will sign a few this season, this summer. Um, and we do definitely have to get rid of some players, not because they're not good anymore, but just because I feel like, the comfortability has brought in some malaise. They're too comfortable. There's nothing to fight for. Not even just this season. They feel like we won the league, we won Champions League. There's comfortability. You need to get in players that are hungry for something that they've never had, or something that they feel like they can achieve with a new team. One of the things that I don't like City, but I love Pep. Right. One of the things that he does that I actually love is the key players that the key players that are hungry that you can tell everything like Kevin De Bruyne, Sergio Aguero, Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
He keeps them on the team, and anyone that doesn't have that drive or that passion anymore, they're gone. Either they're gone completely or they're getting benched, right? So new faces um, brings more hunger and more determination and more like I'm going to fight for my spot. I'm going to fight for the Premier League. I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to fight for that. So I feel like we've gotten to a point where we're too comfortable. Um, and I don't think it's club's fault. I don't think it's the players' fault. I feel like there's nothing to fight for anymore for them. except for the few people that are always still trying, like the Mane, the Salahs, the Firmino, Hendersons, Fabinho, those key players. They understand their role. They know that nothing is done.
Yeah.
They've been in the game for a long time. Shaqiri, I feel like when Shaqiri plays, he plays with his heart. He's always
Yeah.
fighting. Origi doesn't have it anymore. No, no, no.
Yeah.
I'm not. And again, it's not his fault, but his style of play doesn't suit anymore. And again, it might goes back to all the players that were missing, because those players that were missing do make life easier for some players. Um, I feel like he's starting to get to that Daniel Sturridge type of last couple of years with us, where he wants to, he has to be the center of the ball, but we don't have a target man. We never play with a target man. Even when Benteke came, he scored a couple of goals, yeah, sure, but we never really play with a target man. We play fluid football. Everybody they have the liberty to go ahead and score. So, and when you have that kind of mentality on the team, it's hard for a target man like Origi, like Solanke right before he left, um, the young kid, the 19-year-old kid that's in Sheffield now. What's his name?
Brewster.
Brewster, Ryan Brewster. So when you have those kind of target players, even though I had a lot of hope for Brewster, but we don't play with target play. We don't play with target players. So Origi is getting to that spot where if it doesn't fit with what we're doing, then it looks useless. Not useless. I don't want to use. I'm using that term very loosely.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a useless player. He's a very good player,
I
but
get.
his role is useless because we're not playing with a target man. He needs the ball at his feet, driving at opposite defenders, but we don't play like that. So I feel like those kind of players needs to leave. Fresh faces in. Um, I have really high hope for Curtis. I feel like Curtis is going to be a very good deep squad player. So new faces in. If the rumors are correct, I'm seeing some names that I feel like would really help us push forward. And again, you don't really need squad depth, really. If you last year, we didn't really have a lot of. We still have the same players, aside from Thiago that came in. We did 2 years ago. We didn't, and we played really well. I feel like when everything is where they should be and everybody is playing where they should be, we should be okay.
Yeah, but when these players get tired, like nobody predicted what was going to happen this season. So you
Right.
actually need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we need
For
numbers.
me,
We need numbers, but then they have to fit. You could have the best players in the world on your squad, but if it doesn't fit your system, they will look useless.
yeah.
Just like what's happening to Thiago right now. He's a really solid player, but the system doesn't fit him
Yeah,
just yet because we don't
exactly.
have a lot of the missing pieces are not there. So he looks useless. A lot of people are abusing him. They forgot who Thiago is, which is very, very
Exactly.
embarrassing because this guy is one of the best midfielders in Europe. I mean, Champions League best 11, UEFA best 11, you know,
Yeah.
player of the year for Bayern. He was a solid player. So now it's like, oh, Thiago is useless. No, he's not. He's playing out of his role. So those players they have to fit. I don't mind a role player like Curtis, even though Curtis is not a big name player. I feel like when he plays, it will be a solid squad player. Um, and then some other names, like I said, they don't. What's his name? Robbo was not a solid player when he came. He was a role player until he made that role his own and he owned it, right? So if you have those kind of players where there are no names, not big name, not 90 million pound signing, not 50 million pound signing, but some players that fit the system, they would do the job as well. So
Okay, so personally, which players do you want to sign? Do you want to see signed into Liverpool?
uh, the players that I want will
The
not leave.
stadium.
The players I
Okay.
want will not leave their team. Anybody else, I don't care. But the player that I want Human Son in Liverpool.
Oh, the Tottenham. Okay.
Yes,
And
I
who
want
else?
Human Son. Um, Kevin De Bruyne.
Ah, everybody wants Kevin De
Everybody wants
Bruyne.
Kevin. It's a hot. It's a hot.
Yeah.
And then this is poaching. But I want Mason Mount. I feel like
Oh.
between
Okay.
those three players, and we have a six like Fabinho and Thiago, we can win everything.
Okay. So you predicted Liverpool winning EPL next season.
Yes, yes, I did. I
Okay.
do.
Okay, when your full squad is back actually, right?
Yes, but
Okay.
that's the caveat. Everybody has to be back healthy. So, but if
Oh.
everybody's not back healthy, I'm withdrawing my prediction.
Ah, but one thing is to be back, and another thing is to be back in their usual form.
Health, exactly. So they have to be back healthy
So,
and informed. Hmm.
okay. Okay. So you said something about you've met Jurgen Klopp.
Yes, I met Jurgen. I met Robbie Fowler, and I met Ian Rush.
Okay.
Um,
And you have shirts signed by them.
I do. I should have brought it down. I have a shirt, the jersey that I won in college, signed by Robbie
Um,
Fowler and Ian Rush. They had an event in Chicago when I was living in Chicago. They had an event right before we played Olympiacos in a ICC tournament in 2014, I believe. Yeah, I think it was 2014. Right before so we had an event in the official Liverpool squad supporters club of Chicago. We had an event. They came. Gerard was actually going to come, but his cousin came instead. So Ian and Robbie they did a Q&A session for about 2 hours. So they were asking questions. So after the question and answer session, they signed autographs, and I was lucky enough to get both of them sign my shirt. And then the
okay.
game that I met Jurgen, um, it was we were there early. There was a game in Notre Dame when we played Notre Dame last season. We played Dortmund. We played Borussia Dortmund in the preseason game. It was a Notre Dame in Indiana. I went to school in Indiana, so it was about 40 minutes from my school. So I went there. He was walking out of the locker room. Everybody just started shouting his name, Jurgen, Jurgen, and he looked up right into my eyes, shook my hand. It felt like heaven. I was tempted to jump over and just give him a hug, but get one of those famous club hug. But I probably would be arrested if I had done that, so I didn't.
Okay, so how was the feeling like?
It was, man, it was beautiful. It felt like meeting the Pope. It felt so magical. I mean, I felt like this is a bucket, one of those things that you check off your bucket list. Like I shook Jurgen Klopp's hand. You
Oh.
can take that to the bank and you can take that anywhere. You can probably say that at a bar anywhere in the world. Like I shook Jurgen Klopp's hand.
Oh.
So it
So
was
did
it
you
was a
get
good
to take
feeling. Yeah,
pictures?
it was a good feeling.
Did you get to take pictures with him?
I took pictures of him. I didn't take pictures with them because where we were standing up. They were down. So if I can get over there and take a picture and all of that, I have to climb over a barrier. And if I do that, I would definitely get arrested.
Oh, I see. Like, I think that was in 2014. What year
No,
was
that was
that
last
again?
year. No, that
Oh,
was 2 years ago now. Yeah, because last year it didn't really
oh,
happen. Yeah, nothing
wow.
happened last year. So that was 2019.
And when Liverpool was actually very hot.
Yes, yes, that was
Yeah.
that was right after the Champions League final. Actually, that was right
Yeah.
after the Champions League final. That was 2019 July. Yeah.
Oh, well. Okay. Nice. So what do you plan to do with your signed shirts?
Uh I'm probably gonna frame it. I haven't. I'm not gonna wear it once I'm able to get my own little man cave or whatever you call it. I would frame it and put it on the wall. So, or I just set it at an auction and donate the money to a charity or something. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
I'm sure
Tomorrow, big game.
about your team, by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I have no expectation. It's United, so I tend to kind of lower my expectation when we play United. Um, but I'm hoping for a good game.
Okay, so can you predict the score for tomorrow's game?
Predict with Liverpool, man, it's impossible. It's actually impossible. But I say we win 2-1.
2-1. Like, are you
Yes.
saying it with confidence or like you're not sure?
I'm saying it with as much confidence as I have right now.
Oh, I see.
It might change in an hour, it might change tomorrow morning, but right now, I
It
think
might
we'll
change
win
when you
2-1.
see the lineup or in the
Uh,
first few minutes of the game.
right. So as soon as I see the lineup, I might change my prediction, but I feel like we win 2-1. It's about time we win at Old Trafford. We haven't won at Old Trafford in a while, so I think we'll do for a win there. So it might come tomorrow. And they're not,
Okay.
they're not playing the best football right now, but it's United. It doesn't matter if you're 20th or 15th or first. It's United. United away is always a something that you have to be up for. You have to be ready.
Okay. So let's drift a little bit. Champions
Sure.
League. So which two teams do you see going into the finals?
I honestly believe it's going to be Madrid and Chelsea. Oh wait, that's Madrid. No, Madrid and PSG.
PSG.
Hmm.
PSG. You think PSG still stand a chance?
I think they will come back. I think they will come back. They need one goal and keep a clean sheet. I think they come back.
Yeah.
Um, 1-1 is a very dangerous scoreline for Chelsea to get last week, especially from home. They're going to Madrid next week, right? I believe they're
Yeah.
going to Madrid. Yeah. 1-1 was very dangerous because um Madrid can defend and they don't need to do much to score. They have scorers. Um then they can defend. I feel like if Chelsea can stick with their game plan and not try to change what they did last week, I think they can win it. If they do that, then it'll be Chelsea and PSG. But if they don't, I feel like it's going to be a very long night for Chelsea and Madrid.
Okay, so Madrid PSG in the final. So
I,
who do you predict winning?
Chelsea, Chelsea. I want Chelsea to win it, but I feel like it'll be Madrid.
Wait, you said you want to see Madrid and PSG in the finals.
Yes, I want Chelsea to win it, but I feel like it'll be Madrid.
Okay,
So,
okay. So you think
so what
Chelsea
I'm
will
saying
actually
is,
win
whoever comes out of
the
that bracket,
Champions League?
whoever comes out of that game, is winning it.
Or Madrid and Chelsea?
Yes.
Okay,
So if
okay, I
Madrid
get.
wins it, if Madrid wins next week, Madrid is winning it. If Chelsea wins next week, Chelsea is winning it.
Well, I think I disagree with you. I have a different prediction entirely.
You want City? You think City will take it?
No, I think either City or PSG, whoever comes out of that group will win it.
So we
For
have
me,
we are
though.
both on the extreme side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that
Exactly.
group is tough. That group is really that bracket. That was I was really angry we lost to Madrid because if we had won the game with Madrid, I feel like we could have made it to the finals.
Yeah.
Um, but that side, that Bayern, PSG, City bracket was very very difficult. It was always going to be whoever comes out of that bracket would win it. But Champions League doesn't follow logic, and so I'm going to go against the logic of that bracket and say whoever comes out of that Chelsea Madrid game is going to win it.
Okay. Well, let's see how it goes. Okay. It's actually been nice talking to you today.
Absolutely,
And I hope to do more of this some other time.
absolutely, anytime.
Yeah.
Maybe
So anything more?
maybe after the season when we're in a better place.
Well, okay, so you have much things to say with confidence. No, you said maybe sometime when you after the season, right?
Yeah, when we're in a good place,
Yeah, so
I'll
that's
have
what I
more
said. So, yeah,
energy to
exactly.
make better predictions.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So, anything you want to say before you go?
Go Liverpool, win tomorrow.
Hmm. Anyway, I just hope they win tomorrow, so you actually be very happy.
Uh, you know, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. If we win, I'll be happy. If we don't, in about an hour and a half, I'll get over it. We'll move on to next week.
Hmm.
So, but I mean, I've since again, since before Christmas, I've already put my mind to wherever we end up, we'll deserve it. Right. So I have there are no surprises right now.
All right. Okay. Thank you so
Well,
much for
thank you for having
coming.
me.
All right. See you some other time. Bye.